seem to be on the topic of mature women. I think I said this in an earlier video. My mom came to a class. Mom turned 80 last year. Don't tell her I told you. She'll have a shit fit. But she came to a class and she said, the older I get, the less I understand. And I said to her, isn't that refreshing? And she started laughing and she said, not until right now. She said, I thought I was supposed to get older and understand more. And she said, since you said that, yes, it is kind of refreshing. Just, you don't understand. Life is, I don't think life is to be understood. Life is to be lived. But the maturity of, I've said this in an earlier video, of women who, they become more pragmatic. Some of them get bitter when they get old, but a lot of them just get more pragmatic about life, and okay, this is how things are. And they don't argue about a lot of petty things. But I talked about a gal named Candida Tobin. She's no longer on the planet. And a friend of mine's mom, Marge, came to a class. And Marge was a health nut and took care of herself and had read all these things and knew what she could and could not eat just by reading. And had avoided a lot of foods that she really enjoyed. And I think life is short enough that if there are foods, I mean, and nothing, moderation for everything. But if there are foods that you really enjoy, go ahead and eat them. Dr. Steve Benthal says, a wise food choice is, if you know a food is going to make you feel worse after eating it. Let's just say pizza. When I eat pizza, afterwards I'm lethargic, I get real thirsty, but I love pizza. I do. So I don't eat it very often. But what Steve says, I make a really intelligent choice in eating. I go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to pay the price. And so I have the best pizza I can find, and I enjoy it as much as I can. And sometimes it impacts me, sometimes it doesn't. But I make an intelligent choice. Marge hadn't drank or eaten dairy, because ooga booga dairy, for years. On the Monday after the class, she went into the dairy shop and she got a selection of cheeses because she just loved cheeses. She just had heard it was bad for her, so she didn't eat it. I don't know whether it impacted her negatively or not. She just read that it was bad for her. And she got a collection of cheese, and she said she looked to her right, and there was a bottle of white wine. And she thought, oh, it's been years. And so she bought the bottle of white wine as well, went home, apportioned out the cheese at her kitchen table, and opened the bottle of wine. And she said, and I sat there and I ate cheese and drank wine until I got tiddly, which I think in England is a little bit drunk. And Candida, who I talked about earlier, was just approaching 80 years old. And these gals were right about the same age. And Candida said, oh my, are you telling me that you sat in your kitchen by yourself in the middle of the afternoon and drank white wine until you got tiddly? And Mark seemed a little abashed. She was a little embarrassed. She kind of said, yes. And she said, aren't we being a big girl? Live it. It's your life.